Steve Harrington, the jock-turned-babysitter with great hair, he is what perfection is. But apparently he can't find love. In Season 4 of Stranger Things, we saw the Duffers try a very shocking thing. They hinted towards a potential stancy. Now we're stuck in a love triangle between Jonathan the stoner, Nancy the gun wielder, and Steve the single mother. So let's break it all down and see if this is fair to Steve. First, let's talk about the latest season. So we were all a bit surprised when we saw Nancy and Steve hinting toward having feelings in the early episodes, right? And we all thought that we must have misinterpreted it, because how could this be happening? But as the season progressed, there were absolutely no doubts left. They made it very clear that they were trying to push the whole thing. Now there sure are some stancy shippers out there. Noah Schnapp's one of them. But does that make it right? We think, and we know we speak for the majority of the fans when we say that our boy Steve deserves better than this. The last time we saw him in a relationship was Season 2, and we're down 4 seasons now with him staying single. And after all this, fans expected at least some good news for him, and definitely not him going back to his ex. The hints this season started subtly with Dustin teasing his mom. Sorry, Steve about him still having a thing for Nance. And then, let's just say things escalated quickly after that because we had Robin and Eddie being very eager to see these two together. Oh, and how can we forget the good old trusty we want them to be together scene? We're talking about Nancy tying up Steve's wound. No doubts left. Alright, now that we've established that the ship is definitely being introduced again, let's take our thesis a step forward and see why this shouldn't have been a thing. So, it's kind of wrong. If there's one thing we know, it's that the Duffer brothers have graduated from the Octavia School of hurting all beloved characters, because how can you set this character up for heartbreak every single time? And heartbreak's fine, it should at least be true to the character. The first thing is that Harrington and his hair have both evolved a lot, and it doesn't seem right to have them go back to Nance, who clearly broke his heart. And she had a reason for it, because the two didn't want the same things. That like we're in love scene at the party wasn't a dry eye in the room. So yeah, the breakup was pretty conclusive. Let's leave all of our personal feelings aside for a minute. It's normal. It's okay to be emotionally attached to a character. You don't need serious help. Fine, the daily affirmations are done. So the point is, setting Steve up with Nance goes against all the character development he's been through. And honest to God, it's a little unethical as well. Think for a minute. This is the guy who was so unbelievably reasonable about his girlfriend not loving him back. We're talking about Season 2. He saw that she had a thing for Jonathan, an understatement, and he just told her to go with it. No hard feelings, no fighting. To think that just a season prior he was shaming Nance and writing nasty things on walls and stuff. So we saw this immense growth in this character, which is both refreshing and surprising to see. Now come back to the latest season. The same guy who did that is now trying to hit on his high school sweetheart, who, mind you, is very much still in a relationship with Jonathan. Sure, the Byers boy's also trying to slowly break up with her, but these two don't know that yet. In other words, this move just reversed his character's growth so incredibly much. Also, fans on Twitter were quick to notice that it didn't feel right when he straight up told a girl who has a whole live boyfriend that he wants not one, not two, but half a dozen kids with her. Come on, man. That one should have stayed in the drafts. And probably the most heartbreaking thing to see was that throughout the season, it seemed as if the whole point of his character was to try and revive the old spark. And there are also other ways this doesn't make sense. No offense to the stancy shippers, but this ship ain't it. Why? Because it blatantly contradicts the things that were established in the past seasons. Long story short, throughout the course of the show, they made it look like Steve and Nancy weren't actually fit for each other. Actually, no wait, this is Stranger Things. We'll make the long story long. Okay, rewind to Season 1. Jonathan and Nance are in the woods looking for Barb, or at least they thought they were looking for her. That did not end well. So in that scene, the two argue, and boy does Byers shade at her with her trying to rebel by doing what every other suburban girl does speech. But we see that it was actually true for Nancy. She really wasn't herself with Steve. Fast forward to Season 2. The Jancy buildup was so organic, and as Murray noted, most importantly, they had shared trauma. So there's that. We're told that these two are meant to be together, because we like Steve. We don't love Steve. Harrington's left hanging. We don't know what's going on with him. Until Season 3, that is. In the 3rd season, we see that he's clearly moved on and going full ahoy ladies mode, looking for love. Most of us were guilty of shipping him with Robin, but turns out that the duo fits much better as a platonic relationship. Platonic with a capital P. But what we and Steve himself learned from his dynamic with Robin was the fact that he wanted a different kind of relationship. He said he was in love with Nancy, but had by then realized how different he wants his future to be. Now be honest, how does that work with telling Nance in the Season 4 finale that she's always been there? It goes completely against everything the story had built up in the previous seasons. This is very serious, but what should they do? Whether you like it or not, the triangle's here. So how do the fans online want to see this thing pan out? If we're talking about the majority, it's very anti-stancy, mostly because people love their favorite dingus on the show too much for him to go back for a relationship that ended with heartbreak. He deserves a better love life. But that's not the only thing. The Jancy crowd says that if we are to have Nance end up with one of these boys, it should be Jonathan, because they have so much in common, and that's That's true, to be fair. Still, there are so many people who think all three should go their separate ways. We're seeing that Jonathan and Nancy are drifting apart. They're in denial, but we, the viewers, know that both of them want different things. So the most reasonable thing would be for the Byers to go to NYU and get his degree like he's always wanted. Nancy Wheeler should go ahead and become a senior journalist. She looks much better with guns that are double her size anyway. So just hand her a typewriter in one hand, a gun in the other, and call it a day. They need to find a new girl for Steve Harrington. Introduce a new character that he's actually compatible with, and then can make as many little nuggets as his heart desires, with someone who also wants that. Robin and Vicky could be cool lesbian aunts. That's the life our boy deserves. Please free him from the shackles of the past. That's it. We rest our case. In other news, we have Joe's new album. Joe Keery's a man of many talents. He's a great actor, sure, but he's also an exceptional musician, and the good news is that you'll soon get to listen to more of his stuff. He released his first single, Change, from his new album back in June, but now he's back again with another single called Gloom, which was released just about a week ago. So fuel yourselves up with these two tracks until he releases his album Decide on September 16th. Also, Noah's living his best life. Noah Schnapp landed in Lima, Peru a few days ago, and boy is he having fun over there. From dune surfing with his mom in Huacachina to dancing on stage to the most fun music ever, he's living his best life. The highlight though has to be the Welcome Noah poster his Peruvian fans prepared for him. Oh, that and also him singing, running up that hill along with the crowd. Lastly, Joseph living Eddie's dream. Noah isn't the only one living his best life. Joseph Quinn is too. In fact, if Eddie were to see the things he's doing, he'd be so happy. Recently, he's got to jam with the real Metallica. But wait, that isn't even the best part. The Metallica legends gifted him a guitar identical to Munson's on the show, and they signed it. That's a wrap for this video. Who do you want to see Steve end up with? Or do you think he should just accept his fate and invest his time in taking care of his kids? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.